All right, we are going to do 17.3, graphing linear equations using slope and y-intercept. So before we were finding the slope and the y-intercept, now we are going to graph it using that information. So we're going to graph non-proportional equations using the slope and the y-intercept. I think all of this is the same from 17.2, right? We've got our slope-intercept form equation. B stands for the y-intercept. That's how we find the slope. And then there is our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. All right, so this is the biggest thing, is that I remember I kept telling you guys to not write your k constant or your slopes or anything as decimals, because this is when we're gonna really need it. So remember when we were talking about this in module 16, that m, or slope, was rise over run, which is our y over our x. So in this case, it's 2 over 3. Okay, and then our b is always this number on the end. Notice I circled the negative as well. That's because b is -1. So if it says minus, it's actually -1. Remember, this is a point that truthfully exists on the coordinate grid. It's 0, -1. So what we're going to do is we're going to start there. That's our initial start. Remember, on 17.1, we talked about how that is our initial, or our starting point. So I'm going to go put a point at 0, -1. Now from here, I'm going to now use my slope. So my slope is my rise and my run. So since this is a +2, that means I'm going to go up. And since this is a +3, that means I'm going to go to the right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my y-intercept, and I'm going to go up 1, 2. I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a point. And I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, because I can fit the point. Now, with our slope, we can actually go either direction. So I kind of ran out of room. I'm going to rewrite this. I apologize. I'm going to write this down here so I can write my slope again. Oh, geez. Sorry. Fast forward. So the other thing we can do is I can actually go -2 over -3. And all I did was take the opposite of everything. So this was +2, +3. Now I'm going to do -2, -3. But I really didn't change anything, because a negative over a negative is a positive. I'm just going the opposite direction. So notice on the first one I went up. This one makes me go down. That's the opposite. The first one I went to the right. This one makes me go to the left. Notice it is the opposite. So I'm going to go back to my y-intercept. Remember, that was -1, 0, -1. I'm going to go back to my y-intercept, and now I'm going to use my other one. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and a point goes there. And then I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and a point goes there. And if you do it right, you end up with a line that's nice and straight and fills my whole coordinate grid. All right, let's do this one. So slope is m equals, so the negative, we're going to always put on the numerator first. Okay, so that tells me to go down 5, right 2, right? -5 means down, +2 means right. The other version is where I just make the opposite of both of them. So the other version is +5, which makes me go up. See how they're opposite now? And then I'm going to go -2, and that makes me go to the left. And notice now they're opposite. And then my y-intercept, which I'm going to put down here on the bottom, is always the number on the end. Since it's +3, that means +3, and so it's at 0, +3, like this. So remember, we always start on our y-intercept. So 0, 3 goes here. And then I'm going to use the blue one first, or the first one first. So I'm going to go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And I want to put as many points as I can, because it makes my graph as accurate as possible. So I can't actually use the other one because if you notice, if I try to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up off the grid. So we're not going to use the other one, but it's there in case we need to or can. And so since I can't technically on this grid graph it, I'm just going to be done. And so I'm going to connect my dots the best I can. Ooh, that did not go very well, but I'm just going to do my best I can. There we go. And so there is my line. Also, don't forget to make connections, right? We talked about how a positive slope goes up from left to right. Notice it's a positive 2/3. A negative slope goes down from left to right. That says negative 5/2. So that's why this one goes down. This is why the first one goes up. So check that after you graph them as well. All right. So m equals 1/2, or remember we take the opposite of both, so -1 over -2. That way I can graph in both directions. Then my y-intercept is always this number on the back, so b equals 1, which is a 0.0, 1. So that goes right here. All right. So the first one is 1 up, 2 right, 1 up, 2 right. And the second one is down 2, nope, down 1, you can count, I promise, left 2, put a dot, down 1, left 2, everything's the opposite. Then you can see when I connect them, it makes a nice line and fills my graph. I'm going up from left to right because my slope is positive 1/2. So it might be a good idea to maybe pause on this one, see what you can do, okay, and then unpause. Maybe do it lightly, so in case it's wrong. All right, so for the slope, it's -3/1. So that was a little bit tricky part of that one. Did you remember to make it a fraction, you have to have a rise and a run. So the other version is +3 opposite, -1 opposite. And then my y-intercept is 4, which is 0, 4, right? This one right here. So 0, 4 goes here. This is a -3, right? -3 slope, so it means it better be going down from left to right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. I can't go the other way. So there is my line, and I am going down from left to right. All right, so things to remember. I'll type them out so that you don't have to try to read my handwriting. So m equals rise over run. Underline that. You can fast forward because I'm typing too slow. Okay, and then don't forget there's always 2 versions, right? We want to make sure we're putting those 2 versions. There's opposites, right? 2 versions that are opposite. And then b equals the y-intercept, which is the add or subtract. If you always notice, the y-intercept's the part where we add or subtract. Alrighty, there's your independent practice. Use the last one we did to kind of help you with the slope. That'll help you out. And then don't forget to try to graph as many as you can to fill the grid. We don't just put 2 points. So notice in all my examples, I always put as many as I possibly could. All right, until next time.